CutomRCMods here. Today, we're going to be building the long-awaited CutomRCMods Concorde. So, that is going to be just 4 sheets of foam for you guys, and you can print off the plans. They'll be in the link in the description below. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get building. First, I'm going to tell you guys what you're going to need in terms of electronics, and then we will get started. So, basically, for your EDF unit, you're going to want a 70mm if you can, but a 64mm will work as well. Paired up with a 40 amp plus ESC, so if you have a 50 or 60, that'd probably be even better for this application. But I'm running a 40 amp ZTW ESC, and it works pretty well. Then we also have a 36-inch extension that I made out of wire that I had laying around. That's just something that you're going to need to get the battery all the way to the front of the nose, because this is a very long aircraft. And then we need a 4S 1300 mAh or higher. I recommend a 2200 or a 3000 mAh. I just only have a 1300 mAh battery laying around, as well as 2 9-gram servos. And if you guys are wondering why they have all this paper and stuff out of them, on all over them, that's just because they came out of my other Concordes that I built. And then we need a 4+ channel receiver. This one's a Spektrum AR6210, as well as a radio to go along with it, and a little receiver extension cable for the bind plug, because the receiver is going to be buried in the airframe, so you want to be able to access your bind port. And then, of course, you're going to need some push rod as well, and 2 control horns, and remember to have some barbecue skewers handy. We're going to need those in the beginning of the build. So yeah, without further ado, go ahead and get all your pieces cut out. There's about 10 pieces. They're pretty big pieces. You'll need 4 sheets of foam, like I said, and yeah, so let's go ahead and get building. Alright guys, so we're going to start off with the engine nacelles. These are actually not going to contain our EDF unit. The EDF is going to be in the center of the fuselage, so these are pretty much just fakes right here, but they are going to carry our servos, so it's good to have your 2 pre-centered 9-gram servos ready for their installation. So first off, we're going to need to cut out all the channels. These are just score cuts. What I recommend doing is taking a piece of push rod. This is a little bit thicker, but you can just take a piece of push rod or anything you have laying around and just go ahead and trace it out. That'll make the foam come off a lot easier. So go ahead and do that all around all of these. Alright, so now it's time to remove these areas around. So basically what we're going to do, once we actually score them out, we can actually just pop them off just like that. Fold it over, and then you can take your thumb and pull all of the paper off. So do this for all the cavities on this piece, and we'll get back when we've got all those done. Alright, so once we got that completed, we are ready to start. Alright, so once we got that completed, we're ready to start gluing. And as you can see, if you haven't noticed by now, I did mine in black. That's just because the real Concorde had engine nacelles that were black. However, you guys can do them in white. It doesn't really matter what color that you do them in. I just chose black because I had some laying around, and I wanted to make it look a little bit more scale. So we're going to be doing A-folds on all of these, meaning that the bottom plate and the side plate join in the way that the side plate is above the bottom plate. So basically how to do that is you're going to leave the side plate on the ground, and you're going to go ahead and fold up the bottom plate so it meets with it just like that. So I'm going to do a full glue procedure on one, then we'll just repeat it for the other. So I got my glue gun right here. It's all nice and warmed up. So I'm going to do this biggest side first, and I'm just going to favor my glue right to the inside of the side plate, just like so, and leave a little bit of room on the edge for it to squirt out. And then we're just going to fold it up just like so. And you can use a square or a 90-degree angle or something like that, but I usually just eyeball it, and this isn't really something that's going to affect your aerodynamics of your plane or the way it flies. So if you would like to, you can go ahead and do it, but it doesn't really matter if you don't. So I'm just going to hold it like that for 45 seconds. Alright, so now it's time to go ahead and get this front incline all figured out. So we're going to fold it back just like that. I like to take that same piece of push rod and kind of indent the front edge right here. That will help it kind of fold over a little bit better. You'll notice we have a lot of excess paper, so make sure when you're gluing it down that you leave the excess paper to overhang so we can trim it off later. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and just put a little bit of glue on the foam seam, just like so, on both sides. And then we're going to go ahead and drop it in just like that. And it's okay if the paper kind of comes out just like it is right now, but you want to go ahead and flip it over so that the foam sticks to the edge of the inclined piece just like that. And yeah, so once you got that done, you're going to go ahead and button up the sides with a little bit more glue and then trim them off. Alright, so once we have these nacelles done, it's time to mount the servos. We're going to go ahead and orient them in a way that the centered horn is going down and that is mounted farthest toward the back. So for this nacelle right here, this is the inside right here, and this is the outside. Out here is like the wingtip area. So our servo is going to mount just like this with the control horn mounted to this side and down. So I'm just going to push it in just like so and have a little test fit just like that. And then we're going to go ahead and, of course, put a little bit of glue right down there and then mount the servo in just like so. Alright, so for this portion of the build, you're going to need 2 barbecue skewers, the front wing section, and the main wing section. So, we're going to start off by removing all of these tabs. There's 6 on this piece and 8 on this piece right here. So let's go ahead and do that now. What I like to do when I'm removing tabs is I like to flip it over to the other side that I was not cutting on, and then I take my razor and make sure that all of these pieces are completely traced out just like so. Alright, so the next thing we're going to need to do is go ahead and remove the paper, or remove the foam from the front side right here, and the back side right here on these 2 pieces of the front wing, as well as we're going to need to crack open the elevons right here and do a single 45-degree angle bevel. Alright, so to join the wing, we're going to lay the forward wing down with the paper flush with the table and the barbecue skewer spar facing upward just like that, so that when you flip it up, this is actually the bottom side of your wing, so when you flip it up, it'll look like that and you'll have a nice paper edge. So we're going to go ahead and just put some glue right down on the actual forward wing on the paper section. Just put it all around, everywhere, just like that. And then we're going to go ahead and set that down and move our wing right to there. And it should line up just about perfectly, just like that. If your line's not quite centered, don't worry, we'll fill that cavity with hot glue in a minute. And then just go ahead and take any excess that squirts out and push it right back in just like that. Alright, so you guys can now see that I sealed down this paper edge. Didn't quite turn out perfectly, but that's okay because it's super strong. Now we're going to flip it over to the other side, and I'm just going to go ahead and stick a bunch of hot glue right into this crease, just enough so that we can smear it all off and make this end super strong. So I'm just going to take a piece of scrap foam and just smear it all as soon as we put it down, just like so. And then let that dry just like that for about a minute until it is thoroughly nice and hard. Alright, so now we've got the wing built, it's time to move on to the main fuselage right here. And you're going to need this piece, which is the largest fuselage piece, has all these tabs right here, and this larger area at the end. And then you're also going to need your vertical stabilizer. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing we did on the main wing and cut out the cavities by tracing them on the back side of the foam. And now we're going to go ahead and remove the pieces of paper just like this, right here and here, as well as all the way around this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and just do another little score cut right here and here, just so it makes these pieces a lot easier to remove. Again, just like that, and then finally on the back, this big piece, just like this. Alright, so with those pieces removed, the last thing we have to do is go ahead and remove all of this paper on this side right here. So we're going to go ahead and peel it up, but first, let's go ahead and just make a very, 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 very tiny score cut on each of these pieces, just cutting through the paper, not even through the foam, just barely anything, just so that we can keep the paper on there, which will keep the tabs to have a lot more strength when it comes to inserting them into the main wing. Alright, so we've gotten all of these tabs kind of trimmed off, and then we're going to go ahead, bring it from the corner, very, very simple, and just kind of peel it up. So when you go over these tabs, you're probably going to tear it, and it's not going to be one big sheet. I recommend that you just kind of go for it, and don't worry if you don't get it all in one time, because you can always just go back with your fingernail. Nobody's going to see the inside of this foam anyway. Alright, so we got the paper off, and I actually did get it off all in one piece, but it took a little bit longer, so either way, just you have to get it all off. So yeah, go ahead and throw it off to the side, and we're going to take this to the edge of the table and curve it. Alright, so once we've gotten this starting to be curved, we're going to take our vertical stabilizer, and we're going to match the first 3 tabs up with the first 3 tabs on the fuselage. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our 90-degree angle triangle right here and have it ready so we can measure it just like that. So we're going to take it out, and we're going to apply some glue to the first little area right here, just like that, as well as the middle area, the second middle area. I'd say about an inch or so of the final area, just like that. And then we're going to go ahead and drop it right in to the 3 tabs like we did before, and kind of push it down to the table so we can get an accurate reading from the 90-degree square right here. And we're just going to hold it like that for a good amount of time, maybe about a minute or so until it's fully cooled. Once this is completely cooled, we can go ahead and bring back our main wing section, and it's time to get this fuselage mounted up to the main wing. So the last tabs are the ones that we're going to focus on here. So basically, all the way up to the first half of the back 2 pads if you're looking from the back of the wing like I am right now. So we're just going to do a little test fit. So start from the back, just like so. You want the back maybe hanging over the edge of the table, but either way, it should be fine. So with back hanging off the edge, and just like that, all the way down. And you're just going to push it all the way into place as far as it will go. And yeah, so that should be pretty good like that. And then we're going to fold over the fuselage just for a little dry fit section, just like so. So fold it over, just like that. There's all the tabs on the back side that I'm working on right now. Like that, and then push it in. And yeah, so now we've got that done. It's time to go ahead and glue it in once we're happy with the fit. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this side up, just like so, and then apply a little bit of glue on the inside, just like so. So go ahead and push it all the way in. And put the glue right to the inside, just like that. Then make sure all the tabs have gone back into place, and then curl it all the way back around, just like so. You can also go ahead and put a little bit of glue right here, just so that you can strengthen out the outside just a little bit, as that's really important, especially with this piece. So for this side, now we need to pop it up just like so, and you're going to want to pretty much pull this pretty much all the way back if you can. And then we're going to go ahead and put the glue in between these tabs just like so, right here. And then we can go ahead and fold it down once again and hold it in place. While that is completely drying, we're going to go ahead and move to the forward fuselage right now, which is going to be a very similar process, surprisingly, but we also got the nose and hatch spacer pieces right here so that we can use them as well. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our push rod piece, and we're going to go ahead and trace out all of our foam cavity parts right here so we can pull out the parts that we need to get out, just like so. And then on the other side, we're gonna do the same thing, but there's only one cavity just for the edge, just like so. And then take these two pieces off. And then once again, take our tabs and go ahead and find my razor blade actually. And just trace right through the paper like we did last time. And then we can also pull off this last outside piece, which is the overhang for the next part of the fuselage joint. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and have an A-fold right on this piece right here. So basically what it's going to look like in the end, if you're looking from it, is this piece is going to go below the top piece just like that. So again, we're going to favor our glue towards the side of the top piece, just like that. And then we're going to go ahead and hold it up just like that with the 90-degree angle off of it so that we get a nice square joint. Alright, so once we got that fold coming out just like we wanted it to, we're going to go ahead and flip it over in this orientation just like this, and then we're going to go ahead and, of course, put the glue into this little cavity. Then we're going to match this piece up just like so, so that it will fit just in there, and then you're going to hold it like that for another 45 seconds. Alright, so I went ahead and put on the front fuselage. Same process as the rear fuselage, so I thought I might not have to elaborate on it. Then I did the same thing for the hatch spacer, so that it fit on just like that. Same exact dimensions as the front fuselage, so you shouldn't have that much trouble there. And then for the front nose, I went ahead and removed the cavities and put this little piece of paper right here as well. And then we took the paper off this side, and I'm going to do pretty much the exact same procedure as the front fuselage and hatch spacer once again with it, except we're going to go down to a point. So when we're going down to the point, we're going to go ahead and trim off about 1 inch of the front of the nose, just like that. And then we're going to pull out this little section, just like that. So now it's going to look a little bit like that when you fold it down. That'll just give room for the point, because then you will have a little bit of trouble when it comes to rolling the nose around. Alright, so now that we've got the nose built and the hatch spacer built, we can go ahead and join them together just like that. And you guys can see that they're not going to fit together the way they are right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take some fine grit sandpaper, and I'm just going to stick the nose right on top. And you'll see when you place the nose down on the table, it can wobble back and forth. You want it to sit flush with the table when you're done. So once you're happy with the fit, you can go ahead and add a bead of glue all the way around the nose cone and add the hatch spacer on top. Alright, so we've gotten all done. Now we need to combine these two together in a way that can be removable but yet really firm. So what I'm going to do is I took a piece of foam that's roughly about a 6" by 6" square, and what I'm going to do is just kind of pull off the paper on one side. We need to make a little hatch area. So you might take a couple times around to get the paper completely off. But when it's off, we're going to take it to the edge of the table, of course, and just roll it over like so, and then see how well it fits in the inside. So take one side just like that, and then we're going to need to cut off about that much. So go in like so. It doesn't have to be perfect, just want it to fit in nicely. And now we have this much empty part in the back, so that we can stick this in just like so. Of course, you don't need this much to go in, but I like to have as much as possible just so it makes it nice and firm. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and put some glue on the inside all around in here. Doesn't have to be anything super special because nobody's going to see this part. And then just fold it in just like we did a few seconds ago. And push it in until it stops. It can't go any farther. And then we are good to go. And we're going to see how it fits. And that fits just about perfectly. So now this is not going to go anywhere. The nose is on perfectly, but whenever you need to take it off, you can go ahead and just pull it off just like that. Alright guys, so I have my tail cone right here. We're going to go ahead and do this part now. However, if you guys are looking at yours, it might look a little bit something more like this. However, I trimmed mine out a little bit more just so that it'd be a little bit different for my personal style. So you basically do this however you want. If it's shorter, it'll have more static thrust. And if you have a longer thrust tube, you're going to have a lot higher speeds. However, you will not have that same ability to punch out in the corners and things like that. So I recommend a little kind of triangle shape like this, so it'll give you the desired point on the end. But if you don't do that, you're just going to have a little tube coming off. It won't raise up or anything, but that's perfectly fine if that's what you want. Either way, it will still fly, so feel free to be creative here. So I'm going to go ahead, do what we did on all the other fuselage sections. Alright, so once I'm happy with this, we're going to go ahead and install the EDF unit. So mine is a 70mm, and it actually fits just perfectly in here. It's about the upper end of what you want to use. So if you have a smaller EDF, you're going to have to use some like foam spacing or something like that. But either way, just do what works for you. And we're going to have to peel off a little bit of paper here. But do what works for you and your EDF, and it will work pretty much fine as long as you can get it firmly mounted inside this thrust tube. So I'm just going to peel a little bit of this excess foam that I didn't pull off from the last time I used this EDF. And we're going to put it in just like that. It sits nice and flush as you can see. And then I'm going to pull it out just a little bit so I can actually put some glue all over this thing. We're going to go ahead and push it in like that. Got a little burnt there. And yeah, so now that looks good. We're going to let that dry in there for a few minutes before we install this on the rest of the fuselage. Alright, so I moved it over to the edge of the table so that I can install this thrust tube a little bit easier. So we're going to actually go ahead and practice with a little test fit just like that. So line up the last tab on the vertical stabilizer, and then we can see how this thing will fit, which looks like it's actually going to fit pretty well. So we're going to go ahead, once we like that, we're going to go ahead and put our glue down on the vertical stabilizer just like so, all the way to the front, and then put a bunch of glue on the inside of this paper right here. And now we can go ahead and just seat it in just like so. Make sure it's nice and square with the rest of the plane, and you should be good to go. Alright, so that pretty much wraps up the actual body of the Concorde. However, we need to do a few structural reinforcements. First one's being the back mount to the end of the thrust tube right here. So just put a little bit on there, and we're going to fold these tabs right on over. So just hold the paper just like that. And that should be firmly mounted now, as well as this piece right here. Same thing. Take something that you can squeeze it off with. And then we're going to actually mount the ESC now. So let's go ahead and snake this battery wire all the way up to the very front of the nose, as far as it'll go. You might have to use gravity, but for now I'm just going to try to stuff as much of this in there as possible. There we go. And we're going to leave the receiver wire hanging out just like so. And the ESC is actually going to sit just like this, right on the edge of the fuselage, just like that. That'll give it enough airflow, but it'll also stay out of the way. And then we can fold these tabs over right on top of the ESC, and these just over onto the fuselage for a nice flush edge. We're also going to come up to the forward part of the fuselage, and first take this piece right here and fold it over, just like that. And then we're going to take this piece right here and put a little piece on the edge of that, and then fold it over down into the corner just like so. And do that on the other side as well. Alright, so with the reinforcements made, it's time to put the nacelles onto the bottom of the wing. And we're just going to hot glue them all around just like that. But you want to make sure that you have the slanted edge up front right there, and the servo on the outside, and you obviously have the engine exhausts that are going to line up right there. That's going to be the main way that we're going to line this thing up. Everything else is just going to be eyeballing it. So we're just going to take our hot glue gun and just take it out just like that, all the way down on both sides. A little bit on the servo. Make sure the servo lead goes in the center there. And then we're going to take our servo lead and we're going to place it on top of the hot glue, just about perpendicular with that side, just like so. Then flip over the nacelle and line up the engine exhaust on the back. Then we got to go ahead and take it and look it on from the back and make sure that it is perfectly parallel to these tabs right here. With that nice and dry, we're going to go ahead and repeat for the other side. Alright, so everything has been mounted up. I've even put my push rods and control horns on just to speed things up a little bit. That's kind of self-explanatory, so there will be links to flight test videos down in the description below if you don't know how to do this. If it's your first foam board airplane, you might be a little bit new to it, but it's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. When it comes to mounting my receiver, I cut a little hole right here, just like that, so that my receiver will slip in and the antennas can be exposed. And my satellite's going to actually go in down by the fan, and I'm going to cut 2 holes so my antennas can be exposed as well. That just gives me the most peace of mind and comfort when I'm flying, so that I know I won't go out of range or I won't have any sort of interference. So we're going to go ahead and plug this guy, which is the right aileron, into the elevator port. This one, which is the left aileron, into the aileron port. This one goes into the throttle port, and that should pretty much be all we need. We're going to mount this in there as well. Okay, so up at the nose, I went ahead and put a piece of Velcro to mount my 1300 mAh 4S battery with. And then I put 4 of these little wing nuts in the front of the nose, very, very front. And that's just to compensate for the smaller batteries. So you guys, if you're running a 3000 mAh 4S, then you'll probably have 0 weight issues. Might even have to shift your battery back a little bit. But when we put on the nose and the front, we should be able to come over to the brake and the wings, so where the forward and the rear wing meet together, and you'll see that it balances slightly nose down, almost to the point where it's 2 nose down, but that's fine because it doesn't actually go all the way down to the nose, so we're good to go. Now, let's go ahead, plug the battery in, get our transmitter out, and we're going to go ahead and set this thing up. Alright, so now we got to set this thing up in the transmitter. I already have it set up as an Elevon mix, so you guys can see. We got both these. And this thing is ready to see the skies throttle-wise. However, we need to add in a little bit of step-up in our Elevons because this thing has no canards up front. It's going to need some more step-up in the Elevons, otherwise it will just nosedive into the ground. So take any 2 sheets of foam, and we're going to go ahead and set them right next to the Elevon. And this one's almost a little bit too high. So what we're going to do is I'm going to choose the right here. And I'm going to bring it down so that it lines up perfectly with those 2 sheets of foam. It doesn't really matter what the original angle is. It just has to be that they're even, and you might need to trim that out either way. So yeah, let's go ahead, make sure these 2 are even with 2 sheets of foam, and we'll be good to go. Alright, so we're just about wrapped up with the build. Now one thing I want to mention is that you want to have a really high expo on your ailerons. This thing is quite touchy, so having close to 75% expo works really, really well so that you don't lose control just because the ailerons are so touchy being such a long plane. Now you want the exact opposite for ailerons. You want negative expo for your ailerons so that you have most of the dimension of the stick is at the upper end of the travel. So basically, you want a lot of throw on your ailerons. Otherwise, you're on your elevator. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to pull out of things. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please go ahead and build one of these things. Free plans will be in the link in the description below. And yeah, so if you have any questions, please go ahead and feel free to comment down below as well. And message me on Instagram at CutomRCMods official as well if you have any questions. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you later.